Mom probably will, old Beth there, of course she went with this kid. I think she had a date or two with Don Maverick, but I was born on the Maverick. And we had Beaver Ditch running down, and the Glimmer Glass was a little pond that formed from the ditch when it rained hard. And Hugh was born in at Betty Carr's house on Lexington, down about between 3rd and 4th Street, next to Cecil Tolliver. And Mary was born Lexington, right around Arlington. Oh, down at, Maple at Lizzie Warner's house. Yeah, next to Lonnie Griffin. 5th and Maple.
Yeah. Then little Jimmy was born out in Lexington.
Oh, he was born in Lexington.
That's
School,
yeah. Yeah.
And then it's yours, kid.
Okay. Well, then I was born on 10th Street, but not the house where we live now. Down in the next block at 1308, across the street, 1308 10th Street is where I was born. They didn't stay there too long.
Next to Dick Lingenfelder.
Yeah, between Lingenfelder's
Jimmy
and
Alexander,
old man Mayfield. Even when Kelly and I were scrubbing off the walks one day when we were in high school, the birds, we had so many starlings along in all those maple trees down, and Kelly and Bob and I one of us would take the hose and the other 2 brooms, and we'd have to scrub almost every evening. We were out scrubbing them one day, and
We're talking heavy bird shit.
Old Mr. Mayfield came by and he said, "Aren't you glad the cows don't fly?" I was born down next door to him. Kelly,
Where were you born?
you were born 1550.
I was born on Dubois Street. And then shortly after I was born, we moved over to Jefferson.
Yeah. Then Bob was born on Jefferson, right shortly after we moved into the new house on the corner of 13th and Jefferson. He was born there. Esther was born there. Then we were out on the barn farm the summers of 33 and 34. And we stayed the fall of 33. We didn't know why, did we, Mary? We thought we were staying, I don't know why we thought we were staying out there, but anyhow, Bud was born there on the 12th of October, and then when he was about 2 or 3 weeks old, we moved back to town. And then Flo was born again on 13th and Jefferson. And, what?
Bud.
Well, Bud was born.
Bud was born out on the farm. Yeah. Yeah.
How can we get out to the farm?
Dad thought that with all of us kids, we lived just a block off of State Street, which was the US 50. That there wasn't room for all of us to play.
Had to get off the
He wanted to have a home where we could get out and play in the summertime, and he bought 5 acres out on the old Dr. Barr farm and built this house. Had it built, and we just lived out there in the summers. But then he got pretty sick shortly afterwards, so we were just out there those 2 summers. But it was a lot of fun.
And all those places you talked about, people being born, lived there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
They just went there for good.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't too long before Mother died. I said, you really did not teach me to clean house. Real fall house cleaning, spring house.
Now they just get dirty
She
and
said,
they move out.
We moved every 2 years. There was no need. Yeah, she and Daddy would plan a new house and move into it, and they would be in just a short time, and they'd see improvements that they could have made. So they'd sit down with their pencil and paper, draw up another plan, build another house. Here we went again. They built about 5 houses in Martinsville that we lived in.
Okay, who built it?
Usually
Will Cook. Yeah.
Deputy Cook.
Uncle Flint built it.
Oh, yeah. That's
Built one down on Cherry Street.
Yeah.
And the one that
Yeah, I know.
But then Deputy Cook, the contractor, built
The
it.
new house.
And Mother planned a house that Mr. Cook said, that's ridiculous, that they don't build houses like that. And so she was just sick when a few years later she saw her first split-level house in Robinson. She had planned one and he would not build it for her.
It turned out to be the house on 13th and Jefferson, but he straightened it, straightened the walls upright instead of split level like Mother really wanted. time.
Well, I don't know about the houses they built, but I know this thing, they sure built a lot of children. Because every time the doctor came and left, there was a new baby in one of the back beds.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, tell him what you thought the doctor in his bag.
I thought when he came with that bag, he was bringing us a baby. Yes.
Listen, I'll tell you how innocent we were back in those days. I was 12 when Florence was born. I didn't even know mother was pregnant.
I never told such things
And
at
she was
all.
pregnant
Ever.
all the time. 11 babies in 17 years.
I can tell you that Tom knew because every time the doctor would come, he would say, "What again?" I didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
Talk to mom and dad, but I couldn't understand why there wasn't some birth control going on. Now it's all worked out.
So, Tom, you knew about birth control back then?
No.
Yes, I did.
No, Betty taught me about it, Joe.
That's another story.
Yeah, we can go into that too.
But not on video.
She had to talk with her sister about it.
Oh, yes, yes. By the way, the house on 1515 Du Bois, if any of you really want to have the house that Kelly was born in, it is for sale right now. If I was a rich old woman, I'd buy 1515 Du Bois. It is for sale. And so is... I'll give it to you. Yeah. And Uncle Paul and Aunt Ruth's house that they lived in so long, 517 East Locust, is for sale now, too.
You can buy 517 locusts.
This is the year of the locust there, by the way.
You're the cicada.
Let me tell you, Dad loves Lawrenceville so much. When we went there and the car broke down, he was blowing it. I mean, he was really nervous. We were only there like 3 hours, you know. He was pacing most of the time.
I was trying to get out of town as soon as I could. But they couldn't put the new belt on the car fast enough.
I'm the only one that lives there now, and I love it.
Everybody has their cross to bear.
And take it, Crystal.
Hi, I'm Crystal. Here we are at the
Newell.
Newell reunion.
Lawrenceville Drive-In.
In Lawrenceville, Illinois.
And we're going to eat.
And we're going to eat. We're going to eat food and drink drinks.
Drink drinks. Cool. Let's introduce everybody. Crystal, come on around.
This is
Start over at the end.
Aunt Bet and
Bed.
my mommy, Missy. And
Indy.
yes. And
And Jimmy. Okay, come ahead. That's all right.
and Natalie.
And Natalie. Hello, Natalie. We're going to go around the room here.
Annie.
Annie.
Really?
Willie.
Out of character.
Say again.
It's me being completely out of character.
This is? Okay. And
Hugh.
you. And
Dave.
Dave. Very good. At this next table, we have. We're going to start over here. All right.
Hi, we're the Millers. Peter, I'm Amy, and this is Henry.
Henry.
The other half of our
Okay.
crew will be arriving later today.
Okay. That's right. Charlie isn't here yet. I was looking for Charlie to meet Alex. And this is
Yes.
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
She's my wife. She's my buddy.
Cool.
This is another buddy.
And
Nancy.
Nancy.
yeah.
All right. And we're here at the old Lawrenceville Drive-In. World famous Lawrenceville Drive-In.
Pizza.
And Tenderloin.
Yeah.
And we're going to sign off for a moment. Signing off. Big smile. Oh, that's cute. Wait. Start that at the beginning. Start that at the beginning so I can remember it. Because I've forgotten more than I knew. You taught me, but that was... It was brilliant. Okay, come over here with Marty.
Where the
Laura grows and the mome rats outgrave. I did remember it.
Beware
Where
the
the
Jabberwock,
Jabberwock?
my son. The jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jub bird and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the man's own foe he sought. Then rested he by the tum-tum tree and stood a while and thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the toggy wood and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2. The vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. Oh, frabjous day, calloo, calais. He chortled in his joy. It was really good. And the slithy toes did gyre people in the way. All mimsy where the moral goes, and the moan brass outgrave.
Yay. That's the way it was. That's the way it still is.
That's the way it is.
Nothing changes. The only... Oh.
Do it right.
Yeah.
Stand up straight, heels against, feet together, heels against the wall. Pencil, check.
And if you don't stand up straight, you get whacked with that yardstick.
Yeah, okay.
Those eyes. She's so cute.
Ready?
Oh, yeah, buy me something. Okay, yeah, I forgot. They do. I keep thinking of Springberry.
Move, baby. Oh, it looks, she doesn't look that tall. Just put it right on top there.
Okay.
You always look taller when you stand up straight. Are you on there? Oh, did you find yourself?
Oh,
Yeah, me too.
yeah,
That's my girl, CDG.
All right.
There you go.
Nuh-uh.
put a year by it.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
Will people know which millennium that is? Yeah, I guess they will.
CDG.
Could be something from the 1900s.
Great.
You know?
What is up with him?
Don't ask me. It's too complicated to explain.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is neat. Very
Maybe a
neat.
shot of the old kitchen in here.
Okay, then. We have to go to the cemetery.
You haven't gone there yet?
No, we wanted to stop here first. Yeah. Because we had a 3 o'clock appointment with the gill. We had a trouble finding the tender
This is
point.
so good. Oh, you went.
Oh, that's a bunch.
All right, everybody, look at okay, everyone.
That's a lake.
Last one? Yeah. Let's get one more right there, the last one. Enthusiasm. Last one. All right. We got some mice. Whoa, a whole bunch of them.
David, go.
If I know this guy, then I'm through.
Well, for him, that was just pretty close. You always listen to who's in charge. We got another family here ready to go. Natalie and Nancy, here we go.
Come out tomorrow. Bet your $1 that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. Start with the day that's gray and lonely. I just stick on my chin and grin and say, oh, the sun come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. For one day, tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, you're only a day away. Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, you're only a day
All right, 20 years from now, I know who's going to be the band up here. The singers. Lead vocalists. We got to get some instrumentalists going. Because I'll be too old. Where are you going?
I don't know, I wish I knew.
I didn't mean it that way.
All right. Yeah, that was a good setup. Is that on tape? My favorite thing. Oh, yeah, we're gonna do it.
Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. The circle is round, it has no end. That's how long I want to be your friend. I have a hand and you have another. Put them together and we have each other. Drops on roses and whiskers on kittens, red covered kettles and warm wool and mittens, brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
All right, Crystal, you're my hero.
I love you, you love me. We're a happy family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? We're a happy family. I love you, you love me. We're best cousins as cousins can be. With a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too?
Love you.
I love you, you love me. We're best cousins as cousins can be. With a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Love me, we're a happy family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me
Kids, I'm doing this because I'm the oldest one here. We all the older kids had to take care of a younger kid, and Bob slept with me and Kelly slept with Hugh. And an old grandma over there finally talked me into getting married. It took quite a while. Well, we went together 3 years, and so we got married and came home, and the kids said, they're not married, they look the same as they did this morning. We went to bed that night and got up the next morning, and Bob didn't like this arrangement at all. So he asked Aunt Bet, he said, why don't you sleep with Kelly and I'll sleep with Tom? I said, you know that's going. So we finally talked him out of that, and we got straightened around. And Sip, you're the next oldest, so you might as well get up here and tell some story that you remember. That's
I want you to tell a story. Well, I can remember when I was a kid in Marshville.
No, come up to the thing so we can get you on
you got to
tape.
get up here. When you were a kid in Marshville, I wasn't around.
When I was a kid and I visited Lawrenceville, when I was a kid, and every time I visited Lawrenceville, there were bridesmaids' dresses hanging all over the house. Sip and Flo were always bridesmaids.
And never the brides.
And never the brides. But there were always bridesmaids' dresses hanging around. But I remember my mom telling a story about Uncle Bud when she married my father and she moved to Lawrenceville and she was pregnant with me. Uncle Bud was, how old was Uncle Bud then? 1944? He was 11 years old. And he used to take my mama to the movies with her big stomach. And all the guys would make fun of him.
Thank you.
But I also remember a story about Bud dressing up like a girl at Halloween. And he made such a pretty girl that he would go and walk around the square and the guys would try to pick him up.
I haven't heard about that side of the family yet.
We used to, Kelly would pick on him so that he could yell and cry, and I would give him money to go to the movies to get him away from me.
Oh, is that how you do it?
And they were laughing like, all three of them laughing like that.
Well, I think that when I was a teenager, I babysat with everyone in Lawrenceville. Unfortunately, my nieces and nephews were part of this. And one time, Tom and Bet were leaving town, so I was staying with Claude and Sue. Whoa! Hold that! I was staying with Denny and Susie. And I was going off to work, and they'd gone off to school before I did. I knew they needed to leave before I went off to work. But unfortunately, I forgot something. So I thought, oh, I'll run back home and get it. So when I got back to their house, as I drove in the driveway, I could hear music blaring. Who could be here? They're in school. Yeah. So I unlocked the door. It wasn't quiet, didn't have to be. Walked back to Denny's bedroom. The door was shut. And I opened the door, and he was in his undershorts. And he was dancing to Mac the Knife. Didn't hear the door open, so I screamed, Denny! And he looked up, and he fell back on the bed, and he says, oh, Aunt Flo, I'm so sick. Sorry about that, Denny. But go preach to this, Mike.
We're got an answer for that.
Oh, he has an answer for that. Go figure. So he said, are you going to tell Mom and Dad? And I said, I don't know. So that night, he was really good. Before we went to bed, you're going to tell Mom and Dad when they get home? I don't know. All depends. So he was good for about 3 days, and they returned. And of course, this might be the first time they heard it, but I doubt it, because I think I finally told him after he was married and had kids of his own, threatened that if he didn't raise those kids right, I was going to tell him. So now they know. And I do believe that I smacked on the rump one niece and one nephew. Uh-oh. Anyone know who?
David and Natalie.
Raise your hand if you remember. Well, I gave Natalie a smack on the rump once. That, I remembered that Nancy wasn't real amused, so I thought I better not do that again.
Could I possibly have done the Warren smack on the rump?
I don't know.
Okay.
And then I used to babysit the Spinners a lot. And a nephew.
John.
And I was staying over there. And I remember he was so shocked. I was shocked myself that I did it. Hadn't smacked anyone since Natalie for 20 years. And he kept saying, "Are you going to tell Mom?" And I remembered the story about Denny, and I said, "I haven't decided yet." So I used that one for several years. But anyway, I probably babysat a lot of these nieces and nephews, and it's all been very, very fun. I've traveled cross country with my nieces and nephews several times. Call me silly. I'm a fool.
Because you're a Newell.
And went to Phoenix with Bud and Butch and all their kids. Clear cross country more than once with Esther and all her kids. And it was all just a great time. And I'm trying to figure out if I have any more dirt on anyone. Or if I can make anyone
You
mad.
gotta save something for 5 years.
But anyway, I've always wanted to tell about Denny because I have some other stories about Denny, but I don't think we better tell them today. I scare him.
Johnny Pyatt was somehow I kind of took toward the boys, sort of. But
God knows why.
Johnny had come over to stay at Grandma Newell's house for a few days, and I must have been, I could have been working at the Subtle by then or something. No, he was in school, so, okay, I was living at Decker. And I was over there, and one evening he said, "I better write my mom a letter." And we said, "Okay, go ahead." I think he probably was in the 2nd grade. Pretty soon he said, "Aunt Mark, how you spell porkum?" And I said, "What?"
What is this?
He said, "How you spell porkum?" I said, "Well, I don't know what your sentence say." He said, "I want to tell her, Mom, we had pork and beans for supper."
I still don't know how to spell a darn word.
He does if you tell him the letters one at a time. Let's see. Let me think a minute.
I remember going over to Martin Elijah's house in Decker. Now, not only I went to Martin Elijah's house, but after I went to Martin Elijah's house, you remember the Decker Hill? Anybody remember the hill into Decker?
Yeah.
That was a real chick getter going over that hill, let me tell you. You hit that hill doing about 60, and man, they grab anything that moves out there. The other day, we were working at one of our projects with sewers, and one of the ladies said, "We're going to have a little potluck of some kind." And I said, "Well, what shall we bring?" She said, "I don't know, I'm bringing some wilted lettuce." And I said, "Wilted lettuce? I haven't had wilted lettuce since I was about that big in Aunt Marge's house in Decker." So I went over there to, man, I had my lips ready for some real wilted lettuce. It was wimpy wilted lettuce. I had no idea what she was doing. It wasn't even wilted lettuce. It was lettuce with something on it, but
I made wilted lettuce the way Lige taught me how. When we got married, I did not know anything about cooking. I know not a whole lot more now. But anyway, he loved wilted lettuce. Now, I know when my mother would fix it, she'd always slice the lettuce about, and all that. But Lige didn't like it that way. He wanted the leaves whole. The great big whole leaves of lettuce, Then in a little pan, you put in some vinegar and some salt and some sugar and get that real hot, and then pour it in over the lettuce. Great big leaves of lettuce in a big bowl. And then Elijah was the only one that ate it. And he would take his fork, he'd pick up one leaf of lettuce, put the corner of it in his mouth, and that thing. that was the most fun, but that was the wilted lettuce that Danny loved to eat.
And when Susan and I would go over there, and they would have any kind of meat to eat, we were a great pair. Because I loved the lean and Suze loved the half. Not the fat, but the half. We made out like Venice. I thought that both the lettuce had some kind of bacon grease on it or something too.
Yeah, I did.
They had bacon grease, man, that makes it.
Without that bacon grease.
Without that bacon grease, it hardly wilts.
I told you I wasn't much of a cook.
Well, for those of you that haven't tried that Decker Hill, I highly recommend it. It's good. Don't slow down. Underclock.
I've got a couple of quickies on Uncle Bud. One was when Uncle Bud was, I'm trying to think how much older Uncle Bud was than I am.
12 years.
13 years, something like that.
12 years.
12 years. So I just remember when I was a kid, sometimes we, at 11:11, we would, find the nearest couch or bed or whatever, and somehow I ended up in that back bedroom with Uncle Bud, which was fine because Uncle Bud was cool. And, and I guess I went to bed typically before being 12 years younger. I probably went to bed before he did. But all I knew is when I'd wake up in the night or the next morning or whatever, there was like this octopus all over me. And I just, how do I get out of here? And he'd be snoring, he was out of it, and that was kind of cool, but that's the way it was, Uncle Bed, I don't know what that was a single bed back there, a double or whatnot, but it was just kind of weird because I had to burrow my way out. But then the second one was back when we went to California. Jennifer and I and our two sons at that time, as a matter of fact, Gary and Carol Presley, we caravanned out there for most of the way, and then we divided up and we went to Phoenix, and we were sitting out there in the backyard. We had a great barbecue and everything, and I guess the gals were cleaning up, and I don't know where the kids were, but it was just Bud and I. We were sitting there talking, and let's see, when was that? That was in '77, and he was kind of philosophic. He said, there's two things in life. You may have heard this, maybe I've told you. There's two things, John, just remember as you go through life, there's two things you never want to worry about. Well, I was a kid at the time, in my young 20s, I guess. I thought, that's interesting, Uncle Bud. What would that be? Well, number one, you never want to worry about things that are out of your control. And I said, well, that makes sense. If it's out of my control, what can I do? And he said, absolutely. So why worry about it? I mean, this was probably 12 or 1 o'clock at night. The stars were out, and we were sitting there contemplating life, I said, all right, that was pretty easy. What's the other one? What's the other thing you never worry about? He said, well, the other thing you never worry about is those things that are within your control. Now, I was younger then, so I thought about that. I said, well, now, wait a minute. What do you mean by that? He says, well, if it's within your control, get off your duff, do something about it. Take action, but don't worry about it. And that has stuck with me ever since 1977.
And that cuddling business, what do you think, Suze? Must run in the family, right? How many times have we slept with Dad and wound up with arms and legs? Anyone seen that movie, Coyote Ugly? I feel like you got to gnaw something off to get out of bed. I don't want to wake this thing. I don't want to wake this thing.
Yeah, you got it. December 7th, 1941. It's a date that will remember in infamy. There was a young man in Lawrenceville, not old enough to join the war, but he wanted to very much. Still in high school, graduated, got his flight training, and joined the Marine Corps. And in 1944, was in Pensacola, Florida, taking his Marine Corps flight training, and met a female vocalist in a band. Couldn't resist her and they got married. Okay, now, we'll move forward a couple of years. Took his flight training, like I said, finished up. My mom had the presence of mind to keep some papers and logs and a lot of things over a number of years through some very trying times for all of us. And one of the things that she had was a logbook that my dad kept. And there are some entries in there that if you are World War II history buffs at all, some of the dates, if you look at the dates from the history and the dates that are in these logbooks, it'll make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. I don't have them memorized, but a couple of them that come to mind. It's February 19th, 1945. Marines of the 4th and 5th Divisions just hit the beach at Bonin Island, Iwo Jima in parentheses, today. It is expected to be a very tough rock to take due to volcanic rock and a lack of vegetation. It will be taken though, or there won't be a live Marine out of 3 divisions to tell about it. 3rd Marines standing by if needed. Now this is through the eyes of a 23-year-old combat pilot from Lawrenceville, Illinois. Can you imagine the culture shock that was going through there? Okay, we'll stop the clock right here for now, but we're going to come back. We're going to go forward in time 35 years, 1980. I always wanted to fly, but my mom didn't want me to fly for obvious reasons. In 1980, my stepfather was killed in a car wreck. For my next birthday, I got my first flying lesson. I got certified to fly single-engine land in 1980, and I've been flying since then. I got 20 years. I've never had an incident. I've never left anybody up there. I've had a few near misses, rough landings, got lost a couple times. Right in? She's been with me on a few of them. We've been harassed and hassled by the FAA. Got lost flying into Chino, California one night at Casino Instruments. Okay, now with that in mind, let's go back to 1945. Another log entry. Combat Air Patrol, the date. Early on, he gave a whole lot of details on day by day when he first got over there. And after a while, it came down to Combat Air Patrol, Okinawa, Splash 2 Zeeks in the Tojo. Boom. And that's the end of the log for that day. But this one log, he's talking about that they were, I think they were on the, might have been either the, I think it was, no, they were on the Wasp. They had taken off on the Combat Air Patrol, went out, hit their targets of opportunity, came back and hit some secondary targets. By the time they got back to the main body of the carrier task fleet, the rain had come in, and I mean it was pouring down rain. Rain and cats and dogs, to quote him. He said he had one eye on his instruments, the other eye on the other guys that were in the same predicament he was, flying around in the dark, in the fog, in the rain, trying to find the right carrier to come in on. And the reason I related it back to my flying experiences is even in a single-engine Cessna 150, I'm in better shape flying into Chino than he was out in the dark, flying over water, trying to hit the deck of a carrier that's doing this business. But somehow he's talking about, he took his first wave off, he was too far in, took a wave off, flew right turns, downwind, and knew damn good and well that if you didn't spin the thing coming in on the flight deck, the skipper was going to kill him anyway, because you don't do right turns coming in on a carrier and a Corsair. It's left traffic. Every picture you see, the pilot's coming in left turn. The Corsair had a real long nose, and so part of the problem they had getting the thing carrier qualified was because the pilots did not have visibility of the flight deck when they're coming in. So they come in on a turn, and at the last minute they cut the power, drop the flaps, and hopefully catch the second wire with their tail light. Well, he managed to do that on his second pass. He did his first pass around, came back around from the right, and then this time nailed it clean, had the canopy open as they normally do during flight operations, takeoffs and landings. In case you have the water, it's a little easier to get out with the canopy open. So he's sitting there in the canopy, rain hitting him in the face, happy as he can be that he even made it in. climbed out of the canopy, and some ensign opened a hatch into the flight deck to get him downstairs. He says, "Take me to the Marine Corps ready room." So they went on downstairs, and the ensign led him to the Navy ready room. And he says, "No, I'm looking for the Marine Corps ready room." And he says, "What carrier do you think you're on?" And he says, "Well, the Wasp. I saw the insignia when I took my first wave off." He says, "No, buddy, you're on the Hornet." And then in parentheses he says, "I was the first Corsair to ever land on the Hornet, and the first Corsair that the landing signals officer ever brought in." He says that the ship's doctor was pretty freely splashing around in medical brandy that night, and a good time was had by all. So that's my story.
Thanks, Dave. I take back everything down I ever said. I remember Mom and Dad telling a story about Uncle Hugh. He was coming home from wherever he was stationed one time, and he would generally call before he would come in, and they would drive out and meet him at Westport, I guess it was, at the airstrip in those days. And they were driving along Old 50, and here would come Uncle Hugh in his plane, and he'd come down and buzz him once, and then he'd come back around and flip and fly upside down right alongside the car as they were driving down the road.
Oh, I remember in California, he was flying acrobatics, and we'd go out to the commissary, and he would buzz us in the car coming back, and Mom had this big red blanket in the back end of the car, and she'd park on the side of the road and be waving this blanket at him, cursing at him for flying upside down, like he could hear him.
All right, others.
Brenda Foss was in the Navy, Second World War, and I was talking to him about when they were on Hugh's last flight, and he was the third man over, and there were 4 in flight, and this was his position. And I said the enemy were aiming for his plane as he dropped his bomb load, and I said the whole thing exploded. Said the fellow that was on his right wing said if they found anything, it would not be bigger than a fingernail. And I thought, boy, how could that be? And I was telling Fred, he said, I have seen that happen. A plane would get hit and it's disintegrated, gone. And that's what happened to Hugh's plane.